with the leadership of the Hispanic Man of the Year in our community, Colonel Evelio Otero. Colonel Otero, this is really, it's his vision. It's our board's, Mr. Galloway, Ken Lane, Deborah Tamargo, former state representative. It's General Hector Pagan, and I know I'm going to miss someone here this evening. Jim Warshik. Where's Jim at? Jimmy here? Okay, Jim's not here. The Dean did send his regrets that he could not join us this evening. We'll have our next board meeting on November 12th. The 12th, we wanted to kind of let the elections take place, get through the elections. We know a lot of the people who are interested in our organization are also interested in politics and the community and how all those things are going to wash out. So we wanted to skip that week, have our next meeting on November 12th. There again, at the USF School of Business. Our new logo is blue and white. You'll notice that all four arrows converge on one singular point, and that is not a mistake. But they're white and blue, but there's a distinct green and gold element to this. So if you're a USF grad, you're a University of South Florida grad, or see a few of you out here, you'll be proud to know that the College of Business is really standing behind our organization and really taking a deep hold in it, and we appreciate Dean Moaz Lamine participating. So with that said, I'm going to turn over the microphone here to Colonel Evelio Otero.
Thank you. You know, I'm dressed up and I have a microphone, so I feel like singing some Frank Sinatra songs, but there's another gentleman that makes a living doing that in Tampa, and God bless him, and he does a better job than I will ever do. But here's what's going on. About a year and a half ago, well, let me tell you where it all started. Back in the beginning, there was a cell in the universe. No, this is how it started. I had the privilege of retired out of the military after 28 years. In my last 4 years in the military, we were doing diplomacy. We were reaching out and negotiating with foreign countries and working with the United States and so on. One of those individuals that I had the privilege to work under is General Hector Pagan, who is here. General Hector Pagan, he was the commander of the United States Special Operations Forces in South America. And he was also a former commander of all Special Operations Forces in Iraq at the beginning of the war. So this is a man of vision, this is a man of action, this is a man that inspired me ever since I got to Special Operations Command. And when he told me one day, hey, you know, I have this idea, I have this vision, let's go to Colombia. So we went to Colombia and we developed the Special Operations Command in Colombia. We stood them up after a long, hard work. And when I was negotiating those things, if you deal with military diplomacy or any kind of diplomacy, trade is also a discussion. It has to be brought up to the table. Trade, all kinds of military issues are right in hand with civilian issues. And every time I would come back and I would give a briefing, it always came out. Then I retired. And then when I retired, I decided to stay in Tampa. And then I looked at somebody that could help me and give me an idea of how is it that I could get involved in the community and doing the right thing. Then I met Deborah Tamargo and Norm Marino. Norm Marino and Deborah Tamargo, please let everybody know you're here. They are standout leaders in the community. And about a year and a half ago, I started kicking around the idea of how come we don't have a 100% private entity that is dedicated to trade with Latin America? How come? How come we don't have an entity that is somewhat of a think tank for thought and application of thought in trade in Latin America? How come our kids here, we have one of the largest universities in the country at USF, and we have international students coming in and leaving, never to be seen again. And some of our kids here in international business, international law, international anything, they had a goal of pursuing their international dreams, but when they retired, it's impossible to get an international job because there is nothing in the resume that qualifies them. So they end up in the house. So I decided to start banging the idea around with those that inspire me. And one day I decided I went to see Dr. Lamayan with the auspice and the hosting of Mr. Ken Lane. Ken Lane is a dear friend. Ken, are you here? Thank you. Back there. Mr. Ken Lane is one of the stalwart members of this community, and he introduced me to Dr. Lamayan. We discussed with Dr. Lamayan our vision, and he was very appreciative. And he said, we need something like this, something private. And private means that it's more flexible. It's a little bit more flexible. We also spoke with EDC, the Economic Development Council. We spoke with the Tampa Bay Partnership. Wonderful ideas. We spoke with the governor's office. We spoke with the mayor's office. Wonderful ideas about trade with Latin America, but they're by themselves. And we decided that we were going to help them out. We wanted to partner with them. They had great ideas, but there's limited staff and there's limited resources, etc. And I said, why don't we have a foundation that can provide a partner to these agencies when going to Latin America? And then I started making phone calls to Latin America. Friends of mine in Panama, in Colombia, in Chile. And one day I get a phone call from a great icon in this community, Mr. Robert Galloway, and introduced to me by Deborah Tamargo, and I was delighted. And it was truly a privilege to meet this gentleman. And we went to South America and we talked about this idea as well. And he is very close to Chile and many other countries in Latin America, and he embraced it. So now I have a hell of a businessman, Mr. Ken Lane, another iconic businessman, Mr. Robert Galloway. I have a former legislator, Deborah Tamargo. I have a leader, a hero of our country, in Colonel Hector Pagan. And one day I get a call if I wanted to do something for the community. So I called a friend of mine who is an astronaut. He went to the War College with me. Alvin Drew. He was in space twice. You may have seen the Air Force commercial, African-American man, and he's floating in space. He was my best friend when I was at the War College, and we remained great friends. And I asked him to come to Tampa, and he went to the East Tampa community, and he spoke. And over there was a lady called Lynn McDaniel. And Lynn McDaniel is one of the treasures in this city. She is iconic when it comes to building the core of the children as they're leading into high school and as they're leading into college. An educator through and through. And I talked to her and I ran with the idea, and she said, love it. I want to help and I want to participate. So I asked her to be on the board as well. And without Lynn McDaniel, some of the academic notions of the foundations probably would not have come to be. So when it was all said and done, we did the paperwork for the tax exemption. And that took a long time. In the meantime, while we did that, we went out and, I don't know if you remember, Congress, they passed the Defense Authorization Act, in which they cut the cost of living allowance of the veterans, active duty, and retirees. And I decided to put, on the course of action, I decided to put a group of general officers and colonels, and to go and talk to two congressmen, Congressman Bilirakis and Congressman Ross. Hector Pagan, General Pagan was part of that group. Colonel Bill Oliva, who is also here, was part of that group. Colonel Jim Warshup was part of that group. And we were able to overturn that. We got the commitment from both gentlemen. They went back to Congress, and a week later I got a text from Congressman Bilirakis saying it's been overturned. The president is signing it next week. Congratulations. So that went hand in hand with the idea of, with the understanding that veterans has to be part of anything that the community does, especially in Tampa Bay. In Tampa Bay, you have 440,000 veterans. You have a base that has a $5 billion impact in the community. And they travel, and they have businesses, and they have investments, and they have initiatives, and they want to do a million things. And when I was putting the plan together, I called a dear friend of mine, attorney Danny Alvarez. Where's Danny? He's Is he drinking back there? Danny Alvarez, and he put the skeleton together of course of action. We submitted it. Once we got the tax exemption approved, we went to the races. And we had our first meeting at USF Business School. My idea was that the think tank portion was going to be discussed like in 6 months from now. And Dr. Lemayan, he brought it up to the first meeting and he said, we're going to do it now. And one of the questions that we had was, what makes course of action different than any other entity? There's two things, really. One, it is 100% private. Two, it's going to be the only thing that people are going to write papers, are going to be discussed with the professors, and and so on. But it's also going to have an application. We're going to be conducting things in parallel with the operations of the think tank. We're going to be conducting trade missions. Now, trade missions is very exciting for anybody in this room, because the trade missions are going to be what we call boutique trade missions, in which we're going to be going to places like Colombia, like Panama, like Chile, and we're going to bring CEOs with CEOs, 3 or 4, for about 4 days, 2 days of culture exposure and 2 days of business. And we're going to marry that. It's not going to be just a generic trip. We're going to be working with the embassies. What are the interests of the equivalent business people in the given country? Marry it with our folks and develop the foundation for that course of action and sending the folks to these businesses. For the university students, that's part of the business perspective. The academic perspective is we're going to place, we have an interest, a great desire to place kids from university here that will go to the Panama Canal Authority, that will go to La Reine Vial in Chile and do internships. One of the largest brokerage companies in the world is right in Latin America, and work with them. La creme de la creme. The scholarships here so they can go to school here as well. A long-term vision is to open up perhaps an office in Panama. There's early discussions with Panama to talk about that. And we're going to be running that by the port and by the mayor's office and by anybody that has an interest in it. So, when that was being kicked around, the Port Authority decided that they liked what they heard from Course of Action, and they joined us. So we have the Port Authority, they have a seat on the board. So as you can see, we have Dr. Moise Lemayan from USF, we have General Hector Pagan, we have Colonel Jim Warshup, and Jim, he used to be one of the action officers for then National Security Advisor at the White House, Brent Scowcroft. And he's also a fellow in 3 different think tanks in Washington, D.C. And that's his project within the board. So we have Lynn McDaniel, who is an academic genius. Like I said, we have Dr. Pagan, we have Mr. Ken Lane, who is the mentor, really, of the board. We have Ms. Honorable Deborah Tamargo, who brings us the knowledge of how the legislature works. We're a great team. We will continue growing, but that is the goal. So today is the launch of a new, exciting organization in the Tampa community. Spread the word. It is very rich in concepts, in ideas. It is reaching out to perhaps a region of the world, economically speaking, that may have been ignored. We could do more with Latin America. The low-hanging fruits are the fastest growing economy in Latin America right now is Chile. And the free trade agreements that we have signed recently are in Latin America. Colombia, Panama, Peru, and Chile. And we have most favored nation status with Brazil as well. So we should be taking advantage of those opportunities. Tonight I've had the privilege of speaking with a couple of you already about possible opportunities for business already. And before this week, one of our board members is helping us out in getting some investments in the natural gas world. We have been working on that. We already had conversations with the Port of Tampa to lease area and land for that one given company, so we're facilitating. So we have been running, it's just that we have not been seen. We have been under the radar. And now that we are out and about, we are here for you. We want to satisfy the needs of Tampa. We want to satisfy the needs of the leadership of Tampa, of the Economic Development Council, of the Tampa Bay Partnership, Santiago Corrada, God bless his soul, one of my inspirations. We want to work with the private community, with the investment community, both ways. We want to bring those gentlemen. We're following right in line with what Mr. Joe Lopano, his vision is for the airport, which is expanding the routes to Latin America, so it's easier to get here. Many of you understand that it's more beneficial. It's more advantageous if you can fly in the morning and come back in the afternoon for a meeting. But if you have to fly from Bogota to Tampa, it takes you 14 hours. It's about 2 days for a 2-hour meeting. So Joe Lopano wants to change that, bless his soul, and we're supporting him in that 100%. And we're supporting the Port of Tampa as well. Mr. Anderson is very aggressive in what he wants to do, and our own ideas. So our concept is to cooperate as well as lead and be a facilitator. So I open the foundation to you all. Go into the website, coafoundation.org, start clicking around. There's more things that are going to be going in there. One of the things that I'm really proud about is that one of the clicks that you have in there is a free trade agreements. I went to Miami about a year ago. Everybody knew about the free trade agreement. Everybody. The produce and market guy, he says, well, this is what cost me to bring fruits and vegetables into Miami with the free trade agreement. And here, nobody got a clue. Guess where they got it from? Miami. And I would ask business people in the Hispanic community, which is a natural first. That's where you start asking. And as I say, what do you have going on with Latin America? Well, nothing. Well, you know there are free trade agreements. Really? We do? Yes, we do. So we take it as a responsibility as leaders in the community, as citizens in this wonderful community, as this thriving community. I think everybody here knows that Tampa is the future of Florida. It is the anchor for the western coast of Florida. When we look at where are the closest countries to Tampa, it's Mexico, Panama, Colombia, as far as access. So that's where we need to start going. I make myself available to you. I like to speak for the board. They have signed up to the same ideas. Feel free to approach them and talk to them about what you want to do. If you have any questions, I want to say thank you very much, and God bless you. Thank you.
And we want to thank our sponsors. We have some wonderful sponsors. And also, before we do that, the lady who really made all this happen, Krista Johnson. Yeah. Round of applause for her. She did a wonderful job. Thank you. Merlin Home Technologies, thank you for helping get my presentation going live there. We had a little issue on that part. Thank you to S3 Media and our agency principals for supporting all the marketing behind Course of Action. They've really gone above and beyond. Kurt Schleifer, Darren Smith, and Arroyo Process, someone who actually does business in the Caribbean and Latin America, Diana Arroyo Schleifer. Thank you for sponsoring. Arroyo Process and Phantom Pumps. We look for more sponsors in the future. We look for more engagement, more people who are interested in Latin America. And just want to thank you all again. Did I miss anyone? Did I miss any of our sponsors? Rev One Power. I want to thank Rev One Power. And Maggie and the entire Air God family. Big round of applause for them. Where's Maggie at? She's hiding. There she is back there. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you all for coming. And EJ's got a last one.
Let me say something. This is a labor of love. And it's like giving birth, and I feel really good. It's been a year and a half of putting this together. But this is for you. Please pass the word around. This is for you. Go into the website. I'm not going to be shy. You can donate. You can become a member. There are different levels of membership. And there's an explanation in the membership what they include. So go in there. Do we have the square thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
If you want to donate right now, you
Maggie
got
has
it.
it.
Maggie got the square back there, and we'll take your donation. So thank you so very much. We're one happy family right now, and we look forward to seeing you in the next event. So go ahead, enjoy yourself. Thank you very much, and God bless.